James, I'll give you right a reply, but I mean, in the end, you know, the American national security people are saying that China is now our biggest threat. I've got a lot of Chinese friends, so I want to say to them that I think Chinese Australians who are loyal to Australia, who care about Australia while also respecting their cultural traditions are fine. It's the Chinese Communist Party, the officials in Beijing, that they are weak in a lot of sense because a lot of people in China are not happy with them, but they're enforcing their power over them by picking on us and getting everyone in China to think we're somehow or other bad.
Totally, Gary, but no one really gets a right reply to Bronwyn. So yeah, the higher authority there, Bronwyn. Thank you for those kind words. But China is a bully. And we've just got to come to terms with this. And you and Gary and a few, very small number of people have been pointing this out for the last few years. China is a bully. And what the virus has shown, the Wuhan virus, coronavirus, COVID virus, whatever you want to call it, has shown the world how China behaves. And what they've done with Australia, because it was our Prime Minister who was the first person, by showing strength, by saying, hang on, we need to have an inquiry into this. We need an inquiry into this virus that's basically destroying the world. What China are doing are trying to pick us off. And they're doing it slowly. They're trying to slowly strangle us. Because China plays a long game. And what we've got to do is, yes, it's our American friends. John Howard was derided for saying that he wanted to be America's deputy in the Indo-Pacific. But he's so right. Guess what? We are America's deputy in the Indo-Pacific, but we're also the UK's deputy. We're also probably the European Union's deputy. And guess what? Probably Japan's and Taiwan's. Because guess what? This is that coalition of people who have those similar values, who believe in freedom and can stand up. Because if we don't stand together, China is going to pick us off one by one. The problem with China is they're trying to treat us like they treat their own people. They're trying to intimidate us, they're trying to bully us, and you know what? I would love the Chinese people to have a liberal democracy where they have the freedoms that we take for granted, but that's just not going to happen. But the message to China is this: we'll have a trading relationship with you, and we want to have a serious, sensible trading relationship with you. We want to do well, and we actually want your people to do well, but don't bully us. Because we've got a strong Prime Minister, we've got a strong government. And Bronwyn, yeah, there are a lot of people on the front benches and the back benches who are alive to the issue of China and the threat that it faces, not just to Australia, but to the rules-based order that we need in the world.
This is all part of your electorate, but we've got a variety of islands. South Mole is... I know it's all because somebody in Australia wouldn't buy it. You've got the Victorian government with their Belt and Road. That economy down there is completely scarred. It's in deep trouble. Queensland hiving off chunks of islands. I couldn't have imagined us doing that to the Russians. I couldn't have imagined us saying, g'day, Joseph Stalin, here's some islands. Do you want to lease them? Why are we doing this?
I don't know what's happening with the Queensland government because, quite frankly, they actually don't do anything. They're renowned for not doing anything. They did nothing over the last 5 years, and they're going to do nothing for the next 4 years. And I've just got to suck it up that we lost the election a month ago. But what is fascinating about the lease of Keswick or Keswick Island, depending which side of the tracks you come from, is that the Queensland government are saying they know nothing about it. They're pretending that it's got nothing to do with them. But here you've got some prime real estate, which a company with connections to other state-owned companies in China have taken over essentially the head lease for the island, for a majority of the island, and are stopping people who live on the island from having access to beaches and so forth. Now, there's something really, really fishy about this. Really, really fishy. And it's not good enough for the state Labor government to just sort of shrug their shoulders and go, it's nothing to do with them. It actually is to do with them because they've leased effectively this island to this particular company with connections to state-owned companies in China. Yeah, the freeholder effectively is the Queensland state government, but the freeholder is actually the people of Queensland. Yeah. This is our land. This is prime real estate. And you're right, we wouldn't be leasing in the middle of the 1960s or the 1970s, going to the KGB and saying, here's a good joint for you guys to train in. It just wouldn't happen. And so the questions have to be asked of the state government. And I know George Christensen is hot to trot on this, being the good local member he is up in Dawson, about trying to get this state Labor government to give us some answers. But I bet they won't.
That the announcements were not well handled, given it was announced in the week of Remembrance Day, the 11th of November. What a dreadful week to start pouring scorn on people. But the Prime Minister's been quick to act on the Port Arthur thing, his view. Let's, boycott the movie. I don't like to boycott anything. Bronwyn's point's fair. It's a movie. We don't need to go and see it. Whether it's shown at a cinema is another matter. But the hurt about the ADF, James McGrath, you must be hearing it amongst your constituents.
Oh, hearing it not non-stop. And for those watching at home, you'll go to sleep tonight. We'll go to sleep tonight, and we will sleep safely in our beds because men and women have gone overseas and they've done things to fight for us.
Yeah.
And it's our job back here, yours truly here in the Senate, my other colleagues, to stand up for the men and women of the ADF, to have their back. Now, those soldiers that these allegations have been put against, they are innocent until proven guilty. And let's go to the Liz's point. No one's been found guilty of anything here. These are allegations, they're serious allegations. No one has been found guilty. These soldiers are due a fair trial because that's what this country is about. It's about having a fair trial. It is about all these freedoms.
What they fought for.
It's what they actually fought for. And it would be somewhat ironic if these men who went overseas to fight for the freedoms that we take for granted are then denied those freedoms themselves. And I am disappointed as a Senator for Queensland, and there are some big ex-defence communities here, a lot of veterans. My office is in Nambour on the Sunshine Coast, a lot of retired defence personnel there. It would be very disappointing for them to think the government is not on their side. We are on their side, and it's up to all of us to rally around and stand with these men.
Plenty of them in and around, where you live, where you work, the state of Queensland. We rely on people to come and pick our fruit, and the argument about the fact they're going to get ripped off is not really helpful. Again, we're just diminishing and demeaning the way this country operates.
Oh, totally. And our good friends at the Australian Workers Union are, calling for a royal commission into this. So, they're clearly they're looking for a headline. Yeah. But here in Queensland, I had a phone call during the week from Mario. Hello, Mario from Tully. Good fella up there. They cannot get people to do the work.
Right.
They cannot get Australians to do the work. And this isn't a new story. This has been going on since Adam was a boy. That Aussies, we love our fellow countrymen, but they just sometimes don't want to do the work. And that's why we have to get people in to do the work for them. Australians are job snobs. And what drives me nuts at the moment is that there are high areas of unemployment in Queensland, but there are also high areas of demand for employment to go and do some work. And I can't understand why people can't go, because the government's going to give them money, by the way. You get $6,000 to shift to another part of the state. This is taxpayers' money. That helps you shift. It'd be nice if you got that in the private sector to go and do some of this work. But no. Australians are job snobs, and it's creating a real problem with them. I'm with you, Gary, though. It's great that we can get the Islanders, the Solomon Islanders and so forth over here. They're so popular around Emerald. Very, very important there, picking the fruit. What we're seeing up in the Territory, that's great. But come on, Aussies. If you want a job, there is a job. There
is vision that's come out today in the counting houses of Georgia where suddenly 140,000 votes for Joe Biden appeared at 4:20 in the morning. Well, they've actually got some streaming video. Sean Hannity on the Fox network broadcast that some hours ago, which shows quite plainly Republican officials being turfed out of the counting house. Scrutiny is. And then bags of votes suddenly appearing. That was the big dump of the Biden votes. Now, I think if that's right, this is cataclysmic. Meanwhile, mainstream media are saying, Trump's trying to pre-pardon himself for some sort of crimes. The whole thing's a bloody mess, isn't it?
It's a mess, and it's a smelly mess. The most important thing about elections, as important as casting your vote, is making sure that your vote is counted properly and that there are no dodgy votes. And you need scrutineers for that. We've got them here in Australia, but over in the States, some really dodgy things have happened. And that means that should Biden take the presidency, he's going to be under a cloud. And yes, this is a fun fact. There's actually only about 47,000 votes difference in between Trump and Biden in terms of flipping certain electoral college votes. So this is actually an incredibly close election.
Yeah, it really is. Now, look, Bronwyn,